Hi, everyone, and welcome along to the Ergonomically Speaking podcast, the podcast that aims to help you reduce and even eliminate work related discomfort. I am your host, Neve Pentney of Boyne Ergonomics. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope that you're able to take away some useful practical advice from this podcast to help you reduce your own risk of discomfort at the workplace or help manage the risks among the people that you might be responsible for. So, now that we know why we're here, let's get started. Hello, and welcome along to another episode of the Ergonomically Speaking podcast with myself, Neve Pentney. It feels like ages since I recorded a new podcast episode. I did have COVID a little while ago, and I've just been kind of waiting for my voice to come back to normal. It still doesn't sound right in my head, so forgive me if it does feel a little bit scratchy, but I was putting this episode off until my voice got better, but it's just taken too long. So I want to go ahead and record this episode because today I'm talking to you about your summer holidays. So I know for most people, even when you're working, ergonomics is kind of tucked away in the back of your mind. However far back it's tucked when you're working, it is even further back when you're away on holidays. We are not thinking about ergonomics. We are not thinking about posture. We're not thinking about any of these things when we're trying to get away on our summer break. Now, this episode is inspired from our own summer holidays. So we're not long back from our own little summer jaunt with the kids. We went away to the Harry Potter studios. We went to Legoland. So we were on the move all the time. We were active. We were staying in hotels. We were moving bags. And in between all of this and the roller coasters and the ice cream, I was thinking about or noticing even the little things that I was doing that were I was doing them automatically to make things easier and to reduce the risk of myself getting injured and my husband getting injured, which is definitely something I value more the older I get. So the summer holidays, they are obviously perfect time to escape the grind, to relax, to restore and to explore. But it can take a toll on your body. It can cause discomfort and you can get injured. When we're traveling, when we're on holidays, of course, we're going to be doing some level of manual handling. There's going to be poor postures, different postures, tiredness, even stress sometimes, and prolonged periods of sitting. This can all come as part of the holiday packages. So, what I want to do is just put out a few tips, a few little things that can help you enjoy a happy and healthy holiday. And a lot of these are common sense, really, but I just thought I'd put them together for you and hopefully you'll find it useful. So, the first thing I do before I even go on any long journey or holiday is how can I make this easier and more comfortable? So, when you can, I know it's not always possible, when you can, choose travel options that maybe give you a little bit more legroom. If you can, maybe some more comfortable seating. If you can, if you're flying, maybe try and get, if you're obviously physically healthy, an emergency exit seat or an aisle seat or the exit rows just for a little bit of extra space. For road trips, make sure your vehicle is actually serviced. So, like the service is up to date. I'm not saying you have to service it before you go away, but at least make sure the service is up to date and that your tire pressures are set correctly for your vehicle and for your load. This is to minimize vibrations. So, obviously, as we're driving, there are vibrations coming up from the road, and this, especially for long journeys, and if you're going to be in the car a lot, this can have an impact on your back in particular. So, by making sure that the vehicle is serviced and that the tire pressures are right for your load, it will minimize these excessive vibrations. And make sure that your seat is adjusted to support your back and your legs. And plan your rest stops. If you're going on a long trip, make sure you've planned it in advance where it's safe to pull in, where can you take your breaks, where can you get out and stretch your legs. So plan ahead as much as you can for comfort. The next thing I recommend is to pack smartly. Now, I can feel myself even rolling my eyes when I say this because I remember going on holidays in my pre-children era and I would pack everything. I would have multiple outfits for a day. I'd have multiple bikinis. I had day outfits, night outfits. Half of them never got worn. More, I would say. Heavy luggage is going to cause strain on your back and your shoulders, even with the wheeled luggages. You're still going to have to lift at some point. So I know it's easier said than done, but really aim to pack just what you need. Are there things that you can maybe grab when you get there? Are you like me? Do you really just kind of wear the same couple of outfits and the rest of them stay in the bag? Pack only what you need. Travel size versions of your cosmetics, of your makeup, of your bits and pieces if you can, because they're lighter. And like I said, is the things that you maybe don't have to pack that you could get there to use while you're there so that you don't have to pack them. With the luggage, opt for a lightweight suitcase with wheels and a retractable handle. Now, these are commonplace now, but it is so much easier if you can, especially if you have rotating wheels, that you can just pull up that handle and just bring that bag alongside you as you're going. But definitely, wheels and a retractable handle will just minimize the need for you to lift and carry that bag. When you're packing backpacks, make sure you distribute the weight evenly. So basically, heaviest items to the back and lighter to the front. Always use both shoulder straps to make sure that you don't have uneven pressure on your spine and you're not tilting to the side. So packing smartly will just reduce the load that you have to carry and making sure you've got the right luggage for your journey. The next thing to think about is your posture. So whether you're sitting in a car, a train, a plane, a boat, wherever it may be, try and maintain what they call a good posture, what I call a supported posture. So sit with your back against your backrest, shoulders relaxed, back supported. Use a travel pillow, use a rolled up cushion, a rolled up jumper or something if you need to. Tuck it in behind your back if you feel that you're not getting any support in your lumbar region. You can even get inflatable travel pillows, which are great, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of traveling. They can be really good at space saving. You know, you just deflate them and put them away in your backpack if you're not using them. Um, you can get even inflatable footrests for planes if you need them, just to kind of keep your feet a little bit supported. Try and keep your feet flat on the floor and avoid crossing your legs for extended periods. So, in particular, if you are a type of person who crosses their leg at their knee, which I would be a devil for, that puts a lot of pressure on your hips and your lower back because obviously the weight shifts to one of your sitting bones more than the other when you cross your leg. And it can also have quite a negative impact on circulation in your lower limbs. If you do feel the need to cross your legs, restrict it to really, really short periods and maybe try and cross at the ankles instead of the knees. Still not ideal, but it's less pressure on your back and hips. The next tip is to stay hydrated. So you might wonder what this has to do with ergonomics. If you're dehydrated, you're more likely to get cramps in your muscles and fatigue. It's going to make it harder to be comfortable, harder to sit in a relaxed, supported posture. So if you drink plenty of water throughout your journey, it's going to keep you hydrated, keep your muscles functioning properly. If you're going to areas that are really, really hot, really, really humid, make sure that you have your electrolytes as well, because you're going to lose those when you sweat. And another little side benefit, if you are staying hydrated and drinking plenty, well, then you're going to need to go to the bathroom, which, as silly as it sounds, if you are traveling, you're going to have to get up and walk around to go to the bathroom and back. So it'll kind of help encourage a little bit of movement if you also stay hydrated. And that kind of leads into my next tip, which is to take your regular breaks. So if you're driving, I usually plan to stop once an hour. Even if I don't want to drink or coffee or bathroom, I just tend to stop once an hour to stretch and walk around. If you're on a long flight or a train or a boat, obviously stand up and move around the cabin if you can. Stretching also helps to improve circulation and reduce muscle stiffness. Now, as with all my episodes, there is a blog post that accompanies this, and the link will be in the show notes. On the blog post, I actually have images of stretches that you can do while you're traveling if you want to have a look at that. The next tip is to use ergonomic accessories. So this is the like of your neck pillows, the bits you see in the airport, your neck pillows, your lumbar supports, which can be inflatable footrests. They just give you a little bit of extra comfort and support. Really great if you're going to be doing a lot of traveling. Like I mentioned, obviously, a few minutes ago, another thing we can do is to stretch and exercise. And this is just stretching your neck, rolling your shoulders, rolling your ankles. Like I said, if you check out the blog post related to this episode, you will see images of some really, really good stretches you can do while you're traveling. Another tip, and I do feel this is quite a new one, mind your screen time. Obviously, if we're sitting on our planes and our cars, whatever, as long as we're not driving, we're more than likely going to be looking at a tablet or scrolling through your phone. That generally involves a lot of looking down. If you're using your phone or your tablet for prolonged periods, and I'm talking more than a few minutes really, hold your phone or tablet at eye level. So bring the screen to your eye level, not your eye level down to the screen. Okay, just to protect your neck and upper back. And obviously, take regular breaks looking at windows, looking at different things to give your eyes a rest. Now, the ninth tip is to get a good night's sleep. So, good rest obviously is essential for just being healthy. Where you can, choose accommodations with comfortable bedding and pillows that will support you. Now, this is definitely easier said than done, especially if you're going somewhere that you have never been before and you're booking online. It's really hard to tell if the bedding is going to be adequate for you or not. And I think back to an experience we had, I'm going to say it was probably about 4 years ago. We rented a house over in the west of Ireland. We brought the kids over. We were going for this all outdoorsy nature holiday, and it was a farmhouse in Connemara. Absolutely perfect, gorgeous house. But the beds were awful and the mattresses were terrible. And it had an impact on my back for months after. The bedding was so uncomfortable. It just triggered something I had underlying in my back, and I suffered for months. And it took a long time to recover from what was essentially a week of just sleeping in the worst bed ever. So, where you can, definitely try and, you know, choose accommodation that seems to have good quality bedding, or if you know it has it, if you can, especially if you're driving and if you're kind of holidaying within the country, like if you've got a pillow that you prefer, bring it with you. If you're camping in particular, make sure you've got a good quality sleeping mat or an air mattress to try and protect your back, and good quality pillows if you use them. The 10th tip is to listen to your body. Your body is going to tell you very, very quickly if something is not right. Pay attention to any signs of discomfort or pain. And if you start to experience pain or persistent pain, take a break. Change your posture, change your activity, get supports, do whatever you need to do. Do not push through it, as these pains are signals that something is not right. And if you push through it, it can lead to a more serious and long term injury. And finally, stay sun safe. To try and avoid heat stroke and sunstroke, wear high factor sunscreen and reapply it regularly, not enough just to put it on once a day. Avoid prolonged periods of sun exposure, particularly between 12 and 3. Wear a sun hat, wear loose breathable clothing, stay hydrated, and make use of the shade where you can. Those are just 11 tips for yourself, little things. And as you'll heard, a lot of it's common sense. A lot of it is common sense, little things to think about. But one thing that came into my mind on our holiday this year, and funny, it's something I notice I do whenever I stay in a hotel, and my husband has pointed out to me on a few occasions that I do it too. And I think it harks back to in my teens. So here in Ireland, we used to have a holiday camp that's close to where I live, and everybody in the local area worked, and it was staffed all by locals. And one summer, I had a job as a chalet cleaner. So we would come in my late teens, pretty teens actually. We would come in on Tuesday and a Saturday, and our job was to clean and turn over the chalets for the next people who were going to come and stay in it. Now, I think, it harks back to that, but I know whenever I stay in a hotel or stay anywhere that will have cleaning staff coming in after me to get a room ready, I essentially do things to try and help the staff and just make it easier, because I know they can be under so much pressure to get rooms turned around in time. So what I want to just quickly talk about is things that it's not just you that can benefit from kind of keeping the ergonomics in mind a little bit. If you're staying in a hotel or if you're staying in a facility that has cleaners, you can help contribute to a better working environment, and you can help contribute to reducing the risk of injury and showing a little bit of consideration for the physical well-being of the staff who are going to be looking after you on your holiday or cleaning up after you. So here's a few little things you can do. First thing I always do is I lift the bins off the floor. So I will usually get the bins. I tend to empty them and put all the rubbish in together and all the recycling together if I can. But I lift them off the floor and I put them on a counter or a table. It just means you don't have to keep bending down to get to the bins, because the bins are usually quite small. They're usually on the floor. So I tend to pick them up. And usually as well, I'll empty the bins out and I'll try and leave all the rubbish together. The next thing I do is I strip the beds. So before I check out, I strip the bed, I take off the duvet covers, I take off the sheets, I take off the pillowcases, and I leave them usually in one place gathered on the end of the bed. It just saves time for the cleaners, but also it just reduces the physical effort, because you have to remember these guys are going to be cleaning so many houses, so many rooms, very repetitive and can be very stressful. They have to strip and remake multiple beds. So I would always strip the beds and leave the used linens. Usually I'd use them kind of piled up together at the end of the bed. I tidy up. Keep the room tidy. Put away anything that might be on the floor or scattered around. Put used towels that need to be changed in a pile on the bathroom. Usually I put them on the bathroom counter. Make it easier for them to collect. Again, that they're not bending down, picking up towels. And it also reduces the risk that they're going to trip and fall over things that are lying on the floor. Dispose of your rubbish properly. So make sure all the rubbish is gathered. It's in the bins provided. It's not scattered around the room. And separate recycling and general waste if you can. And it just helps the cleaners to manage the waste without having to pick up stuff off the floor and off the lockers and off the beds and under the beds. And finally, if you notice any issues like a leaky tap, a broken chair, anything that could be a hazard, report it to the hotel staff when you're checking out, because it can help prevent accidents and reduce workload. These seem like really small things. And I absolutely know you're on a holiday. The last thing you want to be doing is housework and cleaning. But as I've said, I've been there. I have done the job. Luckily, I was very young and incredibly fit and healthy. It really wasn't a bother for me. But I did work with a lot of cleaners who were much older and had been doing the job for years and would have had little aches and pains and would have struggled to come toward the end of the day. So by just doing little things, getting your hotel room or your accommodation kind of tidied and cleared up before you leave can have such a positive impact on the people that work there. It shows a little bit of consideration. You can really help reduce the risk of injuries and discomfort among the people that are going to be looking after you on your holiday. So those are just a few tips. As I said, a lot of them common sense, but just incorporating some of them, you reduce the risk of yourself getting injured and sore, and also the hotel and accommodations, just to make the summer holidays more enjoyable for everyone. As always, like I said, there is a blog post connected to this episode, and I'll have the link for that in the show notes. I will also have all my social media handles if anyone wants to follow me or get in touch. Anyone has any topics they want me to talk about, please reach out. I'm always open to suggestions and love to hear from you. And until next time, everybody stay well. And anyone that is going on holidays in the next little while, have a fab and safe, happy ergonomic holiday. Bye, guys.